Merci, bonjour. Bonjour à toutes, bonjour à tous. Nadia, merci de me donner l'occasion de m'exprimer. C'est un grand honneur d'être ici à l'Université de Laval et un plaisir d'être ici en Québec, à Québec. Mais veuillez m'excuser, s'il vous plaît. You can tell it's a long time since I spoke French. Je ne veux pas vous forcer m'écouter, massacrer votre belle langue. Merci de m'écouter en anglais. Okay, thank you very much. I have been doing this job of working in learning and development and technology all my life. So I started programming computers in 1981. I started training after I went to university in 1987, and I've done it ever since. And I say this because I have a perspective. I have the grey hair, I have the perspective. I can look back over 40 years, and I've chaired the Learning Technologies Conference in London for 25 years. And every year, we have people on the stage say, yes, this year, things will change. The next year, somebody says, no, this will change. But seriously, now, yes, things really are changing. This time it's serious. And I have nothing to sell you, right? I'm in my 60s now. My job is to help the next generation of people in learning and development get ready for an exciting future. I do think it's exciting, but there's also risk. And I think it's this balance of risk and opportunity. I want to share with you this morning some research. I want to give you an idea of what I think is going to happen in the future. And Nadia has asked me to also share what I think will happen in 2031. Now, I'll put that for my last slide. Okay, you've listened to a lot of people talking for about 30 minutes. It's your turn to talk now. I would like to ask you to speak on your tables very quickly. 2 minutes. I want you to share this question. Can we have the sous-titres en français? Ah, voilà. Okay, it's really confused now. Ah, okay, right. Right, this is a question I'd like to ask everybody on the table. So please talk to each other. We're going to come and get feedback very quickly. I want you to give me 2 words. What excites you about the future with learning? What worries you about the future? It's clear, okay? 2 minutes. Let's go. This is the problem. When you start learning people talking, they don't stop. It's like a train. You can't stop the train. Alors, maintenant, 2 mots de parole. 2 words, please. 1 word for what excites you, 1 word for what worries you. Loads of conversation, loads of excitement. Who wants to share? At the back. Okay, hang on. We need a microphone. The microphone's coming. Alors, big build up. Right. Yes.
Me is the evolution itself, but what worries me is the uncertainty and the unknown.
Isn't that really well expressed? The excitement of the revolution, did you say, or the evolution?
Both.
Both, okay. The change, the excitement of the change, and the concern is uncertainty. Yeah. We are entering into a new world, aren't we? A new world where we don't have maps. We don't know what's happening. Great, I love it. Anything else? Okay, yes.
What excites me, it's the change itself.
Yes.
But what worries me is the human being staying in a mode of receptiveness instead of challenging and being part of the change.
It's a common concern. I'm doing some research at the moment. I've asked 3,700 people from over 100 countries what they're doing in learning and development in the world at the moment. I've asked this question, what concerns you, what challenges you for 5 years? 5 years ago, 4 years ago, the word human didn't feature. Now, It is a really popular word. Everyone is sharing this concern about our humanity. It's a great point. Thank you. Right. Okay. Voila.
So I'm going to save words because what excites me and what worries me is the same. It's the power of AI, which is becoming phenomenal with agentic AI, with general AI, and so on.
That's such a common answer, and it's a real one, isn't it? Yeah. We have this tool. It's like fire, like electricity. It's a general purpose technology, and it will change so much, and it will be used for bad things, and it will be used for good things. It's a great point. Right, one last one, quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. What worries me is the waning of the notion of truth that we can see in media, and the students don't really know what to believe now. And you can see that actually on videos. I can see videos all the time on YouTube or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's definitely fake, and people just don't see that. So it's kind of scary, actually. And what excites me is where science is leading us using AI. I'm a scientist, I use AI, and I can see that my students are much more powerful than they were like 5 years ago. So I'm really excited, but I'm also quite worried about notions of truth and obviously democracy. But I'm not going in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. Hey, where's Nadia? Nadia, you didn't tell me we had such an intelligent crowd. This is fantastic. On that, it's Quebec. There we are. I was looking at the deep fake screen in the corner. Have you tried this? Okay, but in the corner of the room, there's not this room, but outside. You go up to it. There's a camera. You look at it, and I have my face, and suddenly it becomes Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, you might think it's an improvement. Yeah, probably, but it's deeply disturbing, and you can't tell. You can't tell. Great point. Thank you. Right. A lot to go through here, and I'm going to try to very quickly, I'm going to be focusing on my area, which is the world of workplace learning and development, or training, as we used to call it. And, you know, it's changed a lot. In the 1990s, I was teaching people Excel, early 1990s. I know. Excel 3, would you believe it? With an overhead projector and acetates you put on there. And if you wanted to know about the if function, you had to wait until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would tell you about the if function. It's crazy. Right? Why is it like? It was like that because for 500 years, or I don't know how long, we had a pattern where the person on the stage knew everything. We were the point everything went through. And it's not like that anymore. And I think that's the fundamental change that's taking place in workplace learning and development, is a shift from the idea of the creation and the distribution of content, which is what we used to do, to helping people perform better in the short term and build capability in the long term. So we do the same thing. We're still helping people and organizations thrive. We want to help individuals and organizations do a great job. But the way we do it has changed. So when we look at content, and there's a lot of focus on content in learning and development, Josh Cavalier, I'm not sure this is working. Sébastien, ça ne marche pas, je crois. Okay, can I press a key somewhere? Yeah, okay, great. Sorry, this is no reflection, of course, on the tech team. This has been a really well set up event. Everything has been tested. Sometimes things just happen. So look, Josh Cavalier, who's a great guy, he's based in the US, and he does a lot of work about AI and learning. And he produced this video several months ago now, entirely using AI in about half an hour. And this is what it looks like. Okay. No? Okay. It's like Excel too, you're right, yes, very slow. You know in Excel you have that little cross in the bottom and you drag it down, and when that came out, anyway.
Is your cooler really under the limit? Let's find out.
In 5 minutes you'll master the system that turns audits into victory laps.
Step 1 for Toad.
Receive and inspect live shellfish.
Okay, unless you're working in the shellfish industry, this is not interesting for you. But the point is, this is a video that's entirely constructed using AI. The people, the words, the speaking, everything is done using AI. You know, if you've been doing this yourself professionally, and there's plenty wrong with it, but it took half an hour and it took $20 to produce. Josh reckons, and give it another 2 hours and a bit more work, and you have something that's a decent piece of learning content. You know that if you try to do this in the workplace, you have to stop everything, you have to get a video team in, you have to make it, you go into post-production, you come back, and they say, no, can you change this? Yeah, nodding heads, yeah. Can you change this? Can you change that? It's a long process and it's very expensive, maybe 20,000 US dollars. The point here is not that this is imperfect. The point is that it is incredibly cheap. And if somebody running an organization says, we can have something that looks about 80% good enough for $200, or you can stop everything, spend a day shooting, and have something that's really good for $20,000, the choice is clear. That doesn't mean that learning and development is finished. It doesn't mean instructional design is finished. It means that we use those skills and that need at a higher level. We can still create videos. We have to choose the right ones to create and do a good job with it. Let me take you through some research. Egla Vinelskaita and I, who's Lithuanian living in London, and she's absolutely brilliant, we've been doing research into how AI, and by the way, we'll get these slides distributed to everybody afterwards, so you'll have all the URLs. We've been doing research into how AI and L&D have been working together for 3 years now. It seems like forever, 2023 when we started. And we've seen a big change during that time in how people have been using it. Honestly, this first one here in November 2023, it was just chaos. Nobody knew what was happening. And the word that everybody used to describe their sensation was overwhelm. The sense that we did not know what was happening. We've got a much better idea now. In the most recent report from last September, we spoke to 600 people we had a survey of 600 people from 50 plus countries, and we interviewed about 30 people and pulled the case studies together. And the report is about 60 pages long, and it's quite substantial. There's not many pictures in here. It's mostly words, and there's about 20 pages of case studies and about 15 pages looking at actually how are people really using AI in L&D today. It's free, just go and download it, right? The key thing here is, for me, the key thing that I think we found this year was we've hit an inflection point in 2025. Something big has changed. So we asked people, how much are you using AI in learning and development? And they said, well, basically you can be, before you're thinking about using it, you can be piloting it or experimenting it, or you can be using it or using it extensively. So 23, about 40% of people are in the use phase. 24, about 40% of people are in the use phase. And then 2025, it's over 50%. And actually, if you add in the people who are piloting it, not experimenting, but piloting it, it's about 75%. It's a huge uptick. AI has gone from being this thing where we were overwhelmed to being a tool in the toolkit. Are we using it properly is another question, but it's happened. So I think we've gone through a period of about 3 years of shock. We're now entering a new period where we are going into this new land. We're using it, but we don't know what it looks like. We have no maps to understand this territory. So my job is to try to understand it. We have another report which will come out in April to keep the momentum going to understand. We ask people, what are you using AI in L&D for? And we got about 20,000 words in response. And we go through, we read everything, and we put it into boxes. Here are the 4 boxes. We also ask people a straightforward checkbox question. How are you using AI in L&D? And there are 4 categories, and of course, we're not using it at all. So the first of these categories is content and design, and it's blue, right? And if you look at the top half of this table, most people are using AI for some form of content. And it's not necessarily a surprise. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, that's a disappointment. I think we should be using it for other things. Well, AI is being used for other things, and they're in the bottom half of the table, but also there are some little bits of sophistication of use that we've detected. So I think it's almost like things look the same as they were last year. This is very similar to last year's picture. This is 2025. It's very similar to 2024. But despite the fact it looks similar, there are some important things that have changed. So the first thing that's changed is that qualitative data analysis, using AI to assess words, these tools that you were talking about, which are so powerful, and I'm using generative AI tools to do cluster analysis on words now, and it is mind-blowing what you can do with it. It really is. It's extraordinary. And that was eighth in 2024. It's fifth this year. So something's going on. People are using these tools in a more sophisticated way. And I think this bit down at the bottom, these ones here, which are all about workforce enablement, is an area where we're going to see more work with AI in L&D, particularly around the business of skills practice. I mean, performance support, we can expect to see tools popping up. You're going to do this. Do you want some help? We expect that. But skills practice and personalization are absolutely at the forefront here. And I got a newsletter out this morning where I look at the startups in our field and what's happening. The business of performance support is definitely a growing area, helping people, particularly in frontline activities, in retail, in hospitality, working on a factory floor. Those people are now getting great support they didn't have before. And it's not a matter of sending them a course. It's a matter of understanding what they're trying to do and supporting them in a practical way. All right. So that's where we are with two bits of sophistication, but also when we look at the words that people use when they describe how they're using AI in L&D, we notice some big change. We count the words. It's so unsophisticated. We count the words. What are people saying? But we do that because we want to check our bias. I'm always looking for exciting things, but I need to just say, all right, what do the numbers say? 3 words in particular were used far more in 2025 than in 2023. Analysis, data, and research. And this surprised me. I wasn't expecting this. Research was the 10th most used word in 2025. It was the 53rd most used word in 2023. It has shot up. So yeah, people are using AI for content, but they're doing different things with it to create the content. They're doing research, they're doing analysis and data, and then creating the content. 3 years ago, they were putting stuff into ChatGPT and doing a copy-paste. Now they are really thinking about what they need to achieve. That gives me hope for the future. These 4 types of use, as I say, and I would recommend going to the report, download it, have a look at how they're being used. We've got a great deal of detail there. I would also recommend reading these case studies we've got. We've got EPAM, Microsoft, ServiceNow, a lot of companies you've heard of, doing exciting, important things. But I want to now just take a step back and think, all right, Donald, that's what the research is saying, that's what you're doing. Where are we going next? Well, I think where we go next, we can see it already happening now with us. And I think there are some really interesting things that are being done right now with L&D that are the sign of what will happen in the future. So I talked about when I was trading Excel. And by the way, that fill handle, when you get the little box in Excel and you drag it down, when I first showed that to people in 1993 or 4, they thought it was magic. Can you imagine what they'd think now? All right. Traditionally, we designed content and we created it and we distributed it, and that was our job. All right. For the future, for now and the future, I think those 2 things still exist. But there are other things we're doing as well. Community, performance, data, and skills. And I think that those things are areas where we've always looked at before, but haven't had necessarily enough power to do our job properly. I think AI provides that power now. So yes, we've still got those two things, but we also have a lot of other things that we can do. And because I'm tight on time, I'm going to look at just one thing that I think is an area that's going to be very important in the future. I haven't written this up, by the way. This is just something I'm talking about and I'm still thinking about. But this will be a blog at some point in the coming months. In the top, it says surface and share knowledge, right at the top. Yeah. Lou Platt, who was in charge of Hewlett-Packard in the 1990s, said, if only HP knew what HP knows, it would be 3 times more productive. And that's true for all organizations, but Lou Platt was not a learning and development person. He wasn't a knowledge management person. He was an engineer. But he knew that there was great thinking in silos all over the organization. If you could share it, the organization would be so much more powerful. Now it's happening. We have effectively knowledge management working tools that we can use in learning and development to help individuals share what they've got in their heads and bring it out from that office in Sydney, share it with the rest of the world. From London, wherever, share it with the rest of the team. The thing about AI and generative AI and the accessibility of information on the internet is that in the past, knowledge was power. Now, knowledge is almost a commodity, almost. What really matters in most organizations is that little bit of knowledge that makes the organization special. The stuff that you know that nobody else knows and gives you the edge. And that, for me, the surfacing and sharing knowledge bit, is one area where we've got a lot of potential for the future. And nobody else can do this apart from learning and development people, I think. All right. Nadia kindly said to me, and I'm being very passionate about this, I feel it desperately, I wish I wasn't 63. I wish I was 27 and I could start again and do all this stuff. That's life. But I'm here to support you, all right? So at the end, there'll be a LinkedIn QR code. If you want to stay in touch, please stay in touch, because I am here to serve you, all right? I don't have the answers, but I know lots of people. So you may have a problem. Don, trying to do something. Who can help me? Oh, well, talk to Bob, Jane. I'll tell you. Nadia kindly said to me, Donald, you need to say what's going to happen in 2031. I said, Nadia, I don't make predictions. She said, no, Donald. You know what Nadia's like. She can't take no. Donald, you must say that. All right, okay. I didn't try to struggle. Okay. There's so many things I wanted to write on this slide, but it just came down to one thing. I look back over those 35, 40 years, and I think there's a big change happening in the learning and development profession. And I think we are entering this period where we don't know what's happening. There is opportunity, there is risk. Some of us will keep doing the same old thing. Some people will seize the opportunity and do things like skills or surfacing tacit knowledge. And I think what will happen is learning and development will split into 2 parts. And I think we'll have training because there will still be a need for training. I think we'll also have something else. I've called it people capability. It could be workforce enablement. I don't know. But it's something that focuses not on the individual, which is where I started. I started teaching people English in Istanbul. But the L&D of the future is going to be called something which focuses on how you take individual power, spread it across the organization so that individuals and organizations flourish. I don't think it's going to be called L&D. So that's my big thing for the future. My question for you over this conference is, where do you see yourselves in 2031? What are you doing when that choice comes down? Nadia, in 2031, I will be 68. I look forward to returning to the, I don't know, 4th edition, 5th edition, whatever, okay? And then you can say to me, Donald, That was rubbish. It never happened. Oh, you're fantastic. What a great predictor of the future you are. Right. I always carry with me a very important app for any speaker, which is the Big Clock app, which tells me it's time for me to shut up and get off the stage. I'm not going to say it in French because I don't want to make you laugh again, but I will say to you, thank you very much for listening. And it has been a real pleasure sharing time with you, listening to your great input, and I hope you have a fabulous conference. Thank you very much. Yeah?
Pour quelques questions, si vous avez des questions rapides. Quelqu'un a une question?
Quelques questions?
Parler avec Laurent. Thank you so much.
De rien, de rien. Yeah, like I am dead on time. No, if anybody has a question, I was doing the whole big build-up and I was walking off, and now I say, no, you've got to stay on stage. Do you have a question? No. Does anybody have any questions? Voila, come on, because this is, and please, if you want to disagree, because I think civil disagreement is very important. Yes.
To real life, like if you have a job and you're a facilitator, what do you do?
Great. Okay, so this is a really good question. Look, Donald, it's all very well putting up fancy words, people capability. What does it actually mean in real life? I think learning and development does three things, and we do it on the individual and the organizational basis. And I think we help people with short-term performance, and we help people with long-term capability. And we do that at the individual level and the organizational level. So I think that in order to, what I mean when I say people capability is that you can train an individual to, as I did, speak English. But you can also help people do their jobs better as part of a view of how the organization needs to be in the future. That might involve training. Maybe they need to speak a foreign language to do their job. It might involve giving people stretch assignments. It might involve going into a place where there's high turnover of staff and saying, we have an issue here, what's the issue? Very often when that happens, the solution appears to be give the managers training, but that isn't the solution. It might not be. It might be the solution is to change the offer you're making to people as part of their job. In other words, it's a talent and recruitment thing as much as a learning thing. Rather than these ideas existing in silos, how do we plan for our workforce for the future? How do we recruit people properly? How do we adjust the brand of the organization? I think there will be one department whose job it is to make sure that all of those things happen. So when I talk about people capability, that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm very happy for Nadia to bring me back here in 5 years' time and say, it's all rubbish, Donald, it never happened. But I do know that there are organizations already doing this. Talabat is one organization we looked at in that study I showed, and they're a food distribution company in the Middle East, and they are already using this approach. They've actually got rid of their learning and development department in order to have a new approach to how people can work better for the future. Thank you for raising the point, because it's very easy on stage to say, these two words are the future. And you're absolutely right to question that and force me to be more logical and clear about it. Nadia.
Because this is something that I'm worried about, the burnout.
Burnout.
Yeah, because now we're expecting everyone to learn and stuff, but we can't stop what they have to do. So, and we're expecting
a huge thing.
Because now we have the AI, that means that we can do some things faster. So we add projects on your back, and we're really in a terrible burnout. So today you can do things.
Well, you're right. Coming back to this business of counting words, for my survey this year, where I've got 3,700 people from over 100 countries, and the survey, the results of that come out next Tuesday, and I asked them, what's your biggest challenge? When I first asked this question 5 years ago, about 40% of people answered it, 16,000 words. This year, 95% of people answered it, 41,000 words. That's a book. And the number of people using the word pressure has increased each year. It's absolutely extraordinary. So it's a real issue. And that's why I count the words. I want to check my bias. So I think you're right. It is a pressure. It is a point. And I think if we as learning development professionals want to do our jobs, we have to help the organization flourish. But we also have to be mindful of the individual. And if we are being asked to do things which we think are irresponsible, that we are being asked to get people to do things that you can't possibly do because there isn't time, we have to say no. I think we have to be professional about this. An engineer won't build a structural bridge to carry heavy loads if it's not done properly. A lawyer can be disbarred for citing case law that isn't correct. I think we have to step up and take that role. Now, it's difficult because we don't have the same power as those people have. But I think the way we get credibility in the organization is to say, if we look at what happens and what matters to the business, you are going to undermine your business by pushing people too far. You cannot get them to learn effectively like that. So I'm going to say no, and I want you to do it a different way. And in fact, Nadia, I'm going to do another big build-up to leave the stage, right? So I want you to imagine you're working in your office. Somebody's going to come in, and they're going to ask for more training, more e-learning, all right? So I'm in the office. Donald, I want more e-learning, please. And what are you going to say to this person? One voice. How many people do we have here? I'm going to come back. Thank you. I'm going to come back into the office. I want everybody to shout it out, all right? Donald, I want some more training. If nothing else, I have hopefully helped you remember one thing, which is that we as a profession have a responsibility to push back and sometimes, yes, say no. Thank you.